Spec Ops: The Line. Developed and released in 2012, Jaeger Development's action experience is a run-of-the-mill third-person shooter with little to no potential at all to deliver a deep impact on neither the gamer nor the gaming culture whatsoever. Or is it? When I launched my Let's Play of Spec Ops: The Line back in September last year, I gotta admit, my first impression was... Guitars are kicking in. Get down, dude. Please, just get there. Mark down. Not very affectionate. Back then I found its gameplay to be pretty generic, and most of the time it left me indifferent to its story and characters. But after being exposed to its mind-blowing ending, I slowly changed my opinion of it, and now I think it's one of the most important games made in years. I say important because it offers a unique take on the gaming culture as a whole and how we perceive the very spirit of gaming. Beneath its generic surface, there is an immense philosophical depth to be found, and in today's video I'm going to give you guys my interpretation of Spec Ops: The Line.
Do you feel like a hero yet?
Oh, I assure you, it is. How? Not how. Why? You were never meant to come here.
Before I begin with my analysis, I wish to give you guys a heads up and mention that there will be spoilers. Those of you who haven't played the game yet and don't want to have plot points revealed to you, stop watching this video now. There are many different interpretations of Spec Ops: The Line out there. Since its release, it has generated a sort of cult following, and you can find numerous articles about it on the internet, along with literature, art and analytical breakdowns. My friend the Saturnian is one of many YouTubers who has done their own interpretation of the game. Saturnian is actually with me here today to give you guys a taste of his very own analysis on the game, which you can find on his channel. Ain't that right, asshole?
That's right, fuckface. Spec Ops, according to me, comments on the idea about games being tools for escapism. They're toys to play with that create fictive realities. These fictive realities are of course based on our reality, but they often feature elements that is downright absurd, hence making them, well, escapism. For example, in a role as a hero, we always kill hordes and hordes of enemies in games to achieve certain goals. In the distorted realities of games, we never reflect upon this, and we are thus slaves to the suspension of belief. Spec Ops sheds light on this very disturbing fact that heroes in games are often cold-blooded murderers, and that we are the ones controlling them.
We're 800 yards away from seeing who's more full of shit. You or Intel?
Wow. If I wasn't a hardened killing machine, I might have hurt.
By the end of the game, we are presented with the more or less shocking fact that Walker is a murderer who himself created a scapegoat on whom he could blame all his atrocities, Conrad. In this sense, Walker is the player, someone who wants to be a hero, and rationalizes the killing he does so he could remain a hero in his own eyes. The game throws this fact in our faces and makes us aware that we, as Walker, killed hundreds and hundreds of people without second thought.
And with that, I wish to thank the Saturnian for visiting. The Saturnian's analysis of Spec Ops: The Line is one of many other similar videos on YouTube. But using him as an example isn't the only reason to why he is featured in this video. His analysis is actually quite similar to my own. Just like the Saturnian, I mean that Spec Ops sheds light on the power of suspension of disbelief. There is one small difference though. While the Saturnian tries to decode its message and what it's trying to say about suspension of disbelief, I rather analyze how Spec Ops tries to make us aware of suspension of disbelief. By showcasing the ongoing process of suspension of disbelief when we are playing games, Spec Ops displays an image of how dependent games are on an outside factor in order to exist. For the past 2 decades, games has evolved into a form of interactive movies. They resemble the spectacle of many action-packed Hollywood flicks, with the exception that they are under control of one or several persons. Games, in comparison to movies, are unique since they let the viewer have an impact on the outcome of a story. But while a movie is separated from its viewer, the game needs something to make it happen. A game can't, so to speak, play itself. While a movie can be played without its viewer, a game needs someone who can control it. This is why games are setting up goals for the gamer to achieve.
Alright, Lugo. Who are we up against?
An army? Give or take?
Oh shit.
How are we getting through this?
This might help. Fine, set it up.
You're fucking kidding, right? That's white phosphorus.
Yeah, I know what it is.
You've seen what this shit does. You know we
We
can't
might not have a
use it.
choice, Lugo.
There's always a choice.
No. There's really not.
The gamer is the key component to the unfolding of the game's story. Without any driving force behind it, the game loses its ability to progress. The driving force is defined by the gamer's willingness to suspend disbelief and become one with the game's reality. In the ending sequence of Spec Ops: The Line, we can see displays of how games relies vastly on the gamer's will to, by suspending disbelief and become a part of the reality of the game, achieve its goals and progress its story. There are two shots I like to take a closer look on, not only because they look amazing, but also because the compositions of the characters is really helpful in my analysis. The first shot is when Walker finally realizes that Conrad has been a product of his imagination all along. Right after he picks up the gun from Conrad's dead hands, the Conrad of his mind shows up behind him and tells him the horrible truth. If we freeze the shot right here, we can see what you call a classic image of a person playing a game. In the middle, you have the gamer sitting down. The gamer is watching as the story unfolds in front of him or her. The gamer is watching the two polar opposites of the story, Conrad and Walker. These are the two characters most important to the plot of the story and its narrative. Walker is the character you control as well as the one whose perspective of the story you take on. Conrad is the deus ex machina that the whole narrative revolves around. In terms of gaming, he is the final goal for the gamer to achieve. Find Conrad and you will finish the game. What we see in this shot is a triangle of components that is required for the progression of the game's story. The gamer, the avatar, and the final goal. The final goal ties the gamer and the avatar together. Walker as a character wants to find Conrad. The gamer who takes on a challenge wants to finish the game and thus also wants to find Conrad. The final goal of the game is often something that ties both the gamer and the avatar together. In a way, this shot shows how we, the gamer, participate in the unfolding of Spec Ops' story. We have become one with the world of the game. We see the process of suspension of disbelief in this shot. The next shot I wish to talk about can be seen as the definitive display of how the gamer controls the events of a game's story. We see a similar composition as the one we saw in the previous shot. The gamer is placed just behind Walker, giving us the impression that we are part of the game and what's going on. In the mirror we see the reflection of the character Walker facing Conrad. The gamer being placed behind Walker sees him or herself from an outside perspective. Once again, we see ourselves being part of the game's reality. The line between game and gamer is blurred out, while also being highlighted, much thanks to the reflection in the mirror. But this time, we actually see that we affect the events in the story.
2.
I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
No one ever does, Walker. 3. 4. Is this really what you want, Walker?
Ultimately, what we see here is how the gamer, by suspending disbelief, has emerged with the reality of the game. In order to achieve the set goals, the gamer becomes a part of the game while at the same time fulfilling his or her role as the main component in the unfolding of the story of Spec Ops: The Line. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more, you know where to find the subscribe button, and don't be afraid to share your thoughts and opinions. That is all for this time, and I hope to see you in the next video. I'm Curious Dave. Thank you and good night, YouTube.